Hey, all true well wishes and constructive critics. I presume that you and your beloved are in a fine fettle. It is social activist and good-hearted preacher, Professor S. back with absolute delight for my 103rd video on unveil of publication on YouTube today, 31st October 2020, Saturday. I have selected quality of life in 21st century. For presentation today, quality of life QoL is the general well-being of individuals and societies, outlining negative and positive features of life, which of the expectations of individual or society for a good life. These expectations are guided by the values, goals, and socio-cultural context in which an individual lives. It serves as a reference against which an individual or society can measure the different domains of personal life. The extent to which one's own life coincides with the desired standard level, or put differently, the degree to which these domains give satisfaction and as such contribute to one's subjective well-being is called life satisfaction. QoL includes everything from physical health, family, education, employment, wealth, safety, security, to freedom, religious beliefs, and the environment. QoL has a wide range of contexts, including the fields of international development, healthcare, politics, and employment. Health-related QoL, shortly HRQoL, is an evaluation of QoL and its relationship with the health. QoL should not be confused with the concept of standard of living. It is based primarily on income. Materialistic. Standard indicators of the QoL include not only wealth and employment, but also the built environment, physical and mental health, education, recreation, and leisure time, and social belonging. According to the World Health Organization, WHO, QoL is defined as an individual's perception of the position in life in the context of the culture and value systems in which they live and in relation to their goals. In comparison to whose definitions, the Wong-Baker Faces Pain Rating Scale defines QoL as life quality, in this case, physical pain, as at a precise moment in time. One approach called Engage theory, outlined in the Journal of Applied Research in the Quality of Life, posits four domains in assessing QoL: ecology, economics, politics, and culture. These are the four domains: ecology, economics, politics, and culture, of course. Not in this order. The domain of culture, for example, it includes the following subdomains of QoL: belief and ideas, creativity and recreation, inquiry and learning, gender and generations, identity and engagement, memory and projection, well-being and health. Also frequently related are concepts such as freedom, human rights, and happiness. Those things are waning actually. Do we have any freedom to speak what we feel like? Do we have are our human rights valued? Are we really happy? However, since happiness is subjective and difficult to measure, other measures are generally given priority. It has also been shown that happiness, as much as it can be measured, does not necessarily increase correspondingly with the comfort that results from increasing income. As a result, standard of living should not be taken as a measure of happiness. Also, sometimes considered related is the concept of human security. So the latter may be considered as at a more basic level and for all people. Unlike per capita gross domestic product, GDP or standard of living, both of which can be measured in financial terms, it is harder to make objective or long-term measurements of the QoL experience by nations or other groups of people. Researchers have begun in recent times to distinguish two aspects of personal well-being: emotional well-being, in which Respondents are asked about the quality of the everyday emotional experiences, the frequency and intensity of their experience of, for example, joy, stress, sadness, anger, and affection. Other systems and scales of measurement have been in use for some time. Research has attempted to examine the relationship between QoL and productivity. There are many different methods of measuring QoL in terms of healthcare, wealth, and materialistic goods. However, it is much more difficult to measure meaningful expressions of one's desires. One way to do is to evaluate the mentality citizens of a developing country appreciate more since they are content with the basic necessities of healthcare, education, and child protection. Perhaps the most commonly used international measure of development is the Human Development Index (HDI), which combines measures of life expectancy, education, and standard of living in an attempt to quantify the options available to individuals within a given society. The HDI is used by the United Nations UN Development Program in the Human Development Report. The World Happiness Report is a landmark survey on the state of global happiness. It ranks 156 countries by their happiness levels, reflecting growing global interest in using happiness and substantial well-being as an indicator of the quality of human development. Growing purpose has allowed governments, communities, and organizations to use appropriate data to record happiness in order to enable policies to provide better lives. The reports review the state of happiness in the world today and show how the science of happiness explains personal and negative national variations in happiness. Also developed by the United Nations UN and published recently along with the HDI, this report combines both objective and subjective measures to rank countries by happiness, which is deemed as the ultimate outcome of a high QoL. User surveys from Gallup, real GDP per capita, healthy life expectancy, having someone to count on, perceived freedom to make life choices, freedom from corruption, and generosity to derive the final score. Happiness is already recognized as an important concept in global public policy. So many policies are there, whether they are implemented in real life is a big question. The World Happiness Report indicates that some regions have in recent years been experiencing progressive inequality of happiness. Physical Quality of Life Index (PQLI) is a measure developed by sociologist Morris David Morris in the 1970s based on the basic literacy, infant mortality, and life expectancy. Although not as complex as other measures, now essentially replaced by the Human Development Index, the PQLI is notable for Morris' attempts to show a less fatalistic, pessimistic picture by focusing on three areas where global QoL was generally improving at the time and ignoring gross national product and other possible indicators that were not improving. Happy Planet Index, introduced in 2006, is unique among QoL measures in that, in addition to standard determinants of well-being, it uses each country's ecological footprint as an indicator. As a result, European and North American nations do not dominate this measure. In the 2012 list is instead topped by Costa Rica, Vietnam, and Colombia. Gallup researchers trying to find the world's happiest countries found Denmark to be at the top of the list. Uswitch publishes an annual QoL index for European countries. France has topped that list from 2009 to 2011. A 2010 study by two Princeton University professors looked at 1,000 randomly selected US residents over an extended period. It concludes that the life evaluations, that is, are considered evaluations of the life against a stated scale of 1 to 10 years, 10 rise steadily with income. On the other hand, the reported quality of emotional daily experiences, the reported experiences of joy, affection, stress, sadness, or anger levels off after a certain income level. High income does not lead to more experiences of happiness nor to further relief of unhappiness or stress. Below this income level, respondents reported decreasing happiness and increasing sadness and stress, implying the pain of life's misfortunes, including disease, divorce, and being alone, is exacerbated by poverty. Gross national happiness and other subjective measures of happiness are being used by the governments of Bhutan and the UK. World Happiness Report issued by Columbia University is a meta-analysis of happiness globally and provides an overview of countries and grassroots activities using gross national happiness (GNH). The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development (OECD) issued a guide for the use of subjective well-being metrics in 2013. In U.S. cities and communities, the U.S. cities and communities are using a GNH metrics at a grassroots level. The Social Progress Index measures the extent to which countries provide for the social and environmental needs of their citizens. 52 indicators in the areas of basic human needs, foundations of well-being, and opportunity show the relative performance of nations. The index uses outcome measures when there is sufficient data available or the closest possible proxies. Day reconstruction method was another way of measuring happiness, in which researchers asked their subjects to recall various things that they did on the previous day and describe their mood during each activity. Being simple and approachable, this method required memory, and the experiments have confirmed that the answers that people gave are similar to those who repeatedly recalled each subject. The method eventually declined as it called for more effort and thoughtful responses, which often included interpretations and outcomes that do not occur to people who are asked to record every action in their daily lives. The term QoL is also used by politicians and economists to measure the livability of a given city or nation. Two widely known measures of livability are the Economist Intelligence Units, where to be born index, and Mercer's quality of living report. These two measures calculate the livability of countries and citizens around the world, respectively, through a combination of subjective life satisfaction surveys and objective determinants of QoL, such as divorce rate, safety, and infrastructure. Such measures relate more broadly to the population of a city, state, or country, not to individual QoL. Livability has a long history and tradition in urban design, and neighborhoods design standards such as LEED, ND are often used in an attempt to influence livability. Some crimes against properties, example graffiti and vandalism, are some victimless crimes, have been referred to as QoL crimes. American sociologist James Wilson encapsulated this argument as a broken windows theory, which asserts that relatively minor problems left unattended, such as litter, graffiti, or public urination by homeless individuals, send a subliminal message that disorder in general is being tolerated, and as a result, more serious crimes will end up being committed. Analogy being that a broken window left broken shows that an image of general dilapidation. In the field of healthcare, QoL is often regarded in terms of how a certain ailment affects a patient on an individual level. This may be debilitating weakness that is not life-threatening, life-threatening illness that is not terminal illness, the predictable natural decline in the health of an elder, an unforeseen mental physical decline of a loved one, a chronic end-stage disease process. Researchers at the University of Toronto's QoL research unit define QoL as a degree to which a person enjoys the important possibilities of his or her life. The QoL model is based on the categories being, belonging, and becoming, respectively, one who is, how one is not connected to one's environment, and whether one achieves one's personal goals, hopes, and aspirations. Experience, sampling studies show substantial between person variability in which person associations between somatic symptoms and QoL, Hick and Shield measure QoL as the patient's ability to enjoy normal life activities since life quality is strongly related to well-being without suffering from sickness and treatment. There are multiple assessments available that measure health-related QoL. Example, AQoL 8D, EQ5D, Eurocall 115D, SF36, SF60, HUI, QoL is an important concept in the internet, the field of international development since it allows development to be analyzed on a measure broader than standard of living. Within development theory, however, there are varying ideas concerning what constitutes desirable change for a particular society, and the different ways that QoL is defined by institutions therefore shapes how these organizations work for its improvement as a whole. Organizations such as the World Bank, for example, declare a goal of working for a world free of poverty. Poverty defined as a lack of basic human needs such as food, water, shelter, freedom, access to education, healthcare, or employment. In other words, poverty is defined as a low QoL. Using this definition, the World Bank works towards improving QoL through the stated goal of lowering poverty and helping people afford a better QoL. Other organizations, however, may also work towards improving global QoL using a slightly different definition and substantially different methods. Many non-governmental organizations, NGOs, do not focus at all on reducing poverty on a national or international scale, but rather attempt to improve QoL for individuals or communities. An example would be sponsorship programs that provide material aid for specific individuals. Although many organizations of this type may still talk about fighting poverty, the methods are significantly different. Improving QoL involves action not only by NGOs but also by governments. Global health has the potential to achieve greater political presence if governments were to incorporate aspects of human security into foreign policy. Stressing individuals' basic rights to health, food, shelter, and freedom addresses prominent intersectoral problems negatively impacting today's society and may lead to greater action and resources. The integration of global health concerns into foreign policy be hampered by approaches that are shaped by the overarching roles of defense and diplomacy. Quality of working life could be defined as a synthesis of workplace strategies process, and environment, which together stimulate the employee's job satisfaction. This also depends on working conditions and the organization's efficiency. The concept of quality of working life encompasses the following factors: job satisfaction, involvement in performance at work, motivation, efficiency, productivity, health, safety, and welfare at work, stress, workload, burnout, etc. The research findings show that the quality of working life can be measured, improved, and managed. An organization has possibilities to increase its employees' QoL and loyalty by improving the working conditions and environment. A high value of quality of working life directly influences a higher QoL. Happiness of life, satisfaction, and subjective well-being are interrelated. QoL is defined as a concept of economics, sociology, and political science, which encompasses an individual's spiritual, emotional, social, and physical well-being. This concept originated in Western Europe in the middle of 20th century when attempts were made to identify the correlation of societies traditional material interests, and newly evolved needs as compared to the political society, potential of society. Conception of QoL conflicts with excess profits of monopolies and reckless profit accumulation. Sustainable development refers to QoL2. The aim of this conception is to mitigate poverty, to fix meaningful life standards, QoL, to meet the individual's basic needs, to stimulate economic growth and political development, to avoid damage to natural resources. Attempts to answer the question concerning QoL are found in ancient myths, religions, and philosophy. Ancient Greek philosophers were looking for meaning of life and guidelines that could have helped to achieve a higher level of existence. The concept of good life is analyzed in Plato's and Aristotle's works, but the theories are different. The highest value for Plato was logically based contemplation, which excelled human feelings. Aristotle's view was different. He declared that life without feelings, even if it involved risk, was useless. Modern health concepts are based on the views of these two great philosophers. Health is not absence of a disease, but absolute physical, psychological, and social well-being. This remains Plato, and other modern theories claim that risk, stress are natural parts of life. This theory remains Aristotle's concept of good life. The concept QoL was first used by A.C. Pigot in his book about economic well-being in 1920. There was no reaction to this, and it was ignored until the end of World War II. At that time, the WHO expanded the definition of health and included the concepts of physical, social, psychological, and social well-being. The WHO defines QoL as an individual purpose-aligned cultural and value system by which a person lives related to the aims, hopes, living standards, and interests. This is a detailed concept which incorporates individuals' physical and psychological health, the degree of dependence, the social license, and how do they relate to their surroundings. QoL is an area of study that has attracted an ever-increasing amount of interest. QoL conceptual models and instruments for research, evaluation, and assessment have been developed since the middle of last century. However, Greek philosophers are searching for meaning of life, which could help people pursue a higher existential level of life. The past century, QoL was determined as material welfare or wealth. Later, the perceptions changes of the meaning of life and values influence QoL conception, and all factors changes. Evaluation of QoL must encompass all elements. The quality of working life is an important component of QoL. This aspect of QoL has never been analyzed in scientific literature. The quality of life includes such work areas as employees' health and well-being, guarantee for employment, career planning, competence development, life and work balance, and others. The results of evaluation of quality of working life factors could be possibility for social programs establishment, implementation, and development in organizations at national or international levels. The main problem is that there is no universal QoL determination. QoL is influenced by an individual's physical and mental health, the degree of independency, the social relationship with the environment, and other factors. QoL could be defined as an individual's satisfaction with these are life dimensions, comparing with this are our ideal life. The evaluation of QoL depends on the individual's value system and on the cultural environment where he lives. Nonetheless, when analyzing QoL, it should be kept in mind that this concept is wider than the issues of an individual's health. Brown observes that both political and philosophical perspectives, the perception of QoL can be based on one of the following 3 points of view. The characteristics of good life can stem from normative ideals based on religious, philosophical, or some other systems. For instance, an individual can be positive that the essential element of QoL is helping other people based on one's religious principles. The essence of QoL lies in the fulfillment of the individual's priority needs. Due to scarce resources, people prefer things that enhance the quality of their lives. Therefore, people organize their lives considering the resources available to them as well as their personal needs. QoL can also be perceived through an individual's life experience. The person perceives her or his life is as good and undesirable, it is possible to assume that it is indeed so in her or his case. From such a point of view, the more criteria for the evaluation of QoL are joy, pleasure, and contentment with life. According to BK Haas, QoL can be most accurately defined by the following five criteria. QoL is assessment of current, here and now circumstances of an individual's life. QoL, in a sense, content is multifaceted. QoL is based on an individual values and is variable. QoL encompasses objective indicators as well as subjective evaluation. QoL can be most accurately evaluated by individuals who are capable of conducting subjective self-assessment. QoL is considered to be a construct which encompasses various tiers of the realization of social welfare: the macro layer, social layer, that is general social conditions and prerequisites; the communal, municipal layer, that is specific opportunities, the infrastructure and the quality of services; the tier of the individual, that is the actual exploitation of social resources as well as assessment of subjective opportunities and contentment from the perspective of personal experiences. It must be noted that all these layers are interrelated. Society or community life cannot be considered to be that of quality if the experiences of individuals are not positive. On the other hand, the high quality of municipal life is not to be considered as a sum of those experiences at the layer of the individual. Therefore, in order to carry out a comprehensive evaluation of QoL, all the three layers of the realization of social welfare must be taken into consideration. The concepts of QoL and happiness cannot be equated as people perceive their content, characteristics, and indicators differ. P. Weinhoven distinguishes four dimensions of QoL which are necessary for the fulfillment of a good QoL. Livability of the environment. This dimension includes the opportunities provided by the environment as well as the possibility of establishing social relations. Self-assessment, which encompasses awareness and the perception of one's own personal characteristics as well as strengths and weaknesses. External benefit. QoL depends also on whether the individual has a life goal or goals and on whether she or he pursues higher values. Inner appreciation of QoL. Every individual evaluates the quality of her or his life expressed subjectively while comparing the acquired experience and expectations of life. It must also be noted that QoL depends not only on the person's age and state of health, but also on the person's emotional condition and cognitive as well as social function. The findings of the research, which involved the entire population of Norway, demonstrated that the older part of the population highlighted the assessment of physical condition. Women evaluated QoL worse than men did. Family status had the greatest impact on the emotional area of life, whereas education affected all areas related to QoL. QoL also depends on external factors. Good living conditions or circumstances will determine high QoL. But if these conditions vary, the individual satisfaction with his or her QoL will vary too. Quality of life is influenced by many various factors and conditions such as accommodation, employment, income, material welfare, moral attitudes, personal and family life, social support, stress and crisis, health-related QoL, healthcare service, working conditions, nourishment, education opportunities, relationships with the environment, eco factors, and others. The domains of QoL: physical state, material state, psychological state, education and self-development, social relation, self-expression possibilities, and leisure. Safety and environment. It is possible to evaluate QoL of an individual as well as QoL and the eco-QoL of communities. cities, countries, or whole regions. In order to evaluate and compare people's QoL in different countries, general indicators are employed that evaluate the aspects of economical, social, cultural, political environment, services of healthcare, education, transport, public sector, as well as supply of products and services, aspects of natural conditions. QoL is identified according to 9 main indicators. They are ranked according to the importance: material welfare, health, political stability and safety, family life, social life, climate and geographical location, employment and political freedom, gender freedom, the quality of working life. QoWL, according to English researcher G. James, can be defined from three different perspectives. QoL is a target, QoL is a process, QoL is a philosophy. QWL, I'm sorry. QWL should be analyzed as related to the total QoL. Therefore, if it is of paramount importance to establish their correlation, the QWL is one of the dimensions which comprise a composition of total QoL. In turn, the QWL is interrelated with and inseparable from other areas of QoL in multiple ways, such as the individual social life, education, development, and opportunities for self-realization, material welfare, etc. The QWL can be defined as synthesis of workplace strategies, processes, and environment which stimulates employees' job satisfaction. It also depends on working conditions and the efficiency of the organization. An individual's QoL directly influences the quality of his or her life value. Generally, QoL is also determined by as an employee's and his or her work environment's relationship quality. All the components of QoL are independent and interdependent and influence an individual's satisfaction with the quality of his or her life. The concept of QoL encompasses the following factors: job satisfaction, involvement in work performance, motivation, efficiency, productivity, health, safety, and welfare at work, stress, workload, burnout, etc. These mentioned factors can be defined as physical and psychological results of work which affect the employee. Other authors suggest involving this concept in more work factors: fair compensation, safe and hygienic working, and psychological conditions, knowledge and opportunities to realize one's skills, social integration and relationship, life and work balance, work planning and organization. Some QW factors are the same as in QoL, but they are related with the employee's working environment and his or her job. The QWL domains and factors. QWL, quality of working life, are as follows: concentration of work, emotional state, job satisfaction, learning and improvement, social relationship in the organization, self-realization, physical state, safety and work environment. Work and family are the two pivotal areas in our lives. However, very often people encounter great difficulties while seeking to combine them in such a way that neither of them suffers. It is especially difficult to combine work and family life for those who have certain commitments. Example, for those who are raising minors, caring for the elderly, or taking care of the disabled, the work-family conflict is a discrepancy between certain social roles of employee, breadwinner, custodian, as well as father, mother, or spouse. Apart from this, from its self-explanatory meaning, the balance of work and personal life, that is, combining professional and family life, encompasses certain other aspects. In his article, Pitcher mentions the concept of the balance of work and personal life. It is like juggling the five aspects of our life: work, family, friends, health, and the spiritual condition. In order for the activity and aspirations in one area not to have a detrimental impact on the remaining four areas, this list however, can be explained to include leisure time, cultural environment, cultural entertainment, and the maintenance of ties with relatives. Other favorite activities, hobbies, etc. J.C. Rode analyzed the conflict of work and family as root cause of leaving one's job. The model itself was called the instant quit. Conflict of work and family life is actually comprised of two conflicts. Depending on whose perspective is taken, it is two trends of those two conflicts. The work to family conflict reveals strongly working conditions impact and restrict the individual's family life, as well as how often family life has to be adjusted to the working conditions. Alternately, the family to work conflict reveals how family commitments affect the quality of the duties performed at work. Nowadays, when human basic needs in our society are almost satisfied, questions on the whole QoL arise quite often. The key issue in such a situation is what the concept itself is, and moreover, it is not finally clear how to evaluate it in the best possible way. The integrated evaluation of QoL must include all the domains and components, including quality of working life. Concept of QoL is related to various factors of working life, such as job satisfaction, involvement in work performance, motivation, efficiency, productivity, health, safety, and welfare at work, stress, workload, burnout, etc. QoL is influenced by an individual's physical and mental health, the degree of independency, the social relationship with the environment, and other factors. QoL could be defined as an individual's satisfaction with these are life dimensions compared with these are our ideal life. The evaluations of QoL depends on one value system. The QoL should be defined as synthesis of the workplace strategies, processes, QW, and environment which stimulates employees' job satisfaction. It also depends on working conditions and the efficiency of the organization. The concept of QW encompasses the following factors: job satisfaction, involvement in work performance, efficiency, productivity, health, safety, and welfare at work, stress, workload, burnout, etc. Okay, these things we have discussed. Early versions of health-related QoL measures refer to simple assessments of physical abilities by an external rater, or even to a single measurement. The current concept of HR QoL accomplishes that, acknowledges that subjects put their actual situation in relation to their personal expectation. The latter can vary over time, and react to external influences such as length and severity of illness, family support, etc. As with any situation involving multiple perspectives, patients and physicians, rating of the same objective situation have been found to differ significantly. Consequently, HRQoL is now usually assessed using patient questionnaires. These are often multidimensional and cover physical, social, emotional, cognitive, work, or role-related, and possibly spiritual aspects, as well as a wide variety of disease-related symptoms, thereby induced side effects, and even the financial impact of medical conditions. Although often used interchangeably with the measurement of health status, both HRQoL and health status measures different concepts, because health problems can interfere with even the most basic aspects of daily living. The healthcare professions have codified concepts of activity of daily living, ADLs, and instrumental activities of daily life, IADLs. Such analysis and classification helps to at least partially objectify for QoL. It cannot eliminate all subjectivity, but it can help improve measurement and communication by quantifying and by reducing ineffability. Tips on improving QoL: maintain healthy relationships, get a good night's sleep, get moving, find meaning in your work, plug your energy drains, make time for leisure. All of us know that India is the most sought after business destination for many global conglomerates, but when we talk through the quality of life in Indian cities, it really sucks. And we fall short of words as we do not have much to say about this. The QoL plays a much major role in the performance of any country. Hence, performance of any country is not just economic development, also its social development. Overall performance is measured with the GDP and the Human Development Index (HDI). HDI is the well-being, standard of living, and QoL of citizens, whereas GDP, gross domestic product, is an income measurement. No doubt the GDP of India is growing rapidly, and this is a matter of pride. But we still lack on HDI, Human Development Index. According to India's Human Development Report by UN, United Nations, India needs to work on HDI as we rank 134 among 187 countries. MERSA Human Resources Consulting has conducted a worldwide quality of living survey. In this, it has been stated that two of the most prominent cities in India, Delhi and Mumbai, are very low in ranking, and these are even after Colombo and Dhaka. In this survey, Bangalore has been ranked at 153 and Chennai 160. At present, there are about 240 million people in India who are living a poor QoL. We always compare India with other countries, especially China, on economic development. But such comparisons are seldom done for factors such as life expectancy, education level, daily life of a person, etc. World Bank and the UN report show that life expectancy at birth in China is 73.5 years, whereas in India it is 64.4 years. Then India has more infant mortality rate of children under 5, and maternal mortality rate as compared to China. Also, statistics for years of schooling and adult literacy are more in China. No doubt that economic development is a must for any country and individual. As these uplifts quality of life. But along with this, we need to work hard on human development sector. There are many factors that lead to the advancement in living standard, which is linked to the economy. But one major among these is how government is doing to utilize extra income which has come from the economic development. But with the increase in corruption, there is poor utilization of money in India. Everyone is busy filling their own pockets rather than doing anything for India. Let's take a simple example. India's capital city, Delhi, as both very posh and very shabby places. VIP residential area, India Gate and GK are some of the posh areas, but just opposite to Delhi also has places like Uttam Nagar, Najafgarh, Pagar, Ganj, where there are no roads, no sewage, no water supply, and common man is still suffering and struggling for these. The basic necessities of life. We are talking about capital of India. What to say about other cities? This automatically brings down the overall human development index of India. Then we have poor health facilities. Check out the condition of most of the government hospitals and dispensaries in India. A person earning a bit more, will never go to these hospitals for any reason. So what government is doing to its common person? Actually nothing. It is not that India is not putting any effort for the improvement of the same. There are many plans and programs at root level that have been initiated but still require pace to achieve more on this one. Many laws and policies have been created to solve the problem of poverty, malnutrition, and problems related to health and sanitation. But lack of the proper implementation is leading to unsatisfactory results. India is one of the largest producers of wheat and other food items, but still we have the highest number of malnourished people in India. 42% of children in India are underweight, malnourished, stunted. So the problem is not in the production of food, but in the distribution. It is clear that economic development and growth is incomplete without increasing HDI, Human Development Index, and QoL in India. Maximum benefits would be raised from the present economic development, and there should be appropriate framework for the various aspects of human development, such as education, health, child nutrition, facility of drinking water, roads, etc. Do this, active and bold decisions must be taken by the government. One might have tendency to say that fuel is improving, but one needs to think at what cost. Human lifespan was lower in the 20th century compared to what it is in the 21st century, but QoL has deteriorated. People those days led a much happy life, were much healthier, attributed to eating organic food, clean air, clean water, breathing clean water, drinking clean water, low noise levels, physical activeness, doing most of the work manually. They were also content with what they had and were not greedy for materialistic possessions. People consulted medical doctors once a blue moon. Now people spend so much money on unwanted medical consultancy, unwanted medical tests, popping allopathic medicines, even for viral illness like a common cold, unwanted medical surgeries, etc. Basically, people have lost their natural immunity attributed to eating junk food, leading sedentary lifestyle, smoking, drinking, substance abuse, unhealthy sex practices, LGBT, commercial sex workers, illicit sexual relationships, overuse of synthetic chemicals for basic ingredients in food production, etc. Besides, deforestation is causing proliferation of zoonotic diseases, resulting increase in natural disasters, etc. One should never go against nature. Lifestyle diseases have gone through the roof. One should lead a healthy, peaceful, happy life from cradle to grave. There is no point in increasing just a lifespan, compromising on health and happiness. Family bonding has gone down the drain since life has become highly materialistic because of population explosion and nuclear families. People don't take proper care of their children and elders in the family. On the contrary, they are putting up an eye show as if they care for the other species like dogs, stray dogs, cats, milch animals, etc., which cause which are more of nuisance value to the general citizens. Basic humanity has gone. A classic example is that there is an accident on the road and the injured persons are in such physical and mental agony. Instead of arranging for medical help, people dumbos pull out their smartphones, like video record the happenings and either live stream or post it later on social media like WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter, etc., which should be banned. Should we call such people savages or barbarians? Dictionary is all yours. Deep debates, discussion on open-ended topics like this can go on forever. Anyhow, let me pull the plug here. We meet again real soon with another interesting topic. Some of the statements, views expressed are solely mine, based on limited knowledge gained over 6 decades of versatile experience. Always watch these videos with a closed caption, subtitles for absolute 100% comprehension as per my sincere recommendation. Zillion times so far, I know I rushed to complete the presentation within 20 minutes max, which is enough that I have set myself to retain the viewers' attention. I know nowadays I exceed this time limit since I make honest attempts to cover the selected topic more elaborately, including so many intricate fine details referring a wide variety of sources, in particular Wikipedia quite extensively, besides articles and books published recently. Besides, of course, I sprinkle my own salt and pepper and season it with my personal experiences so far in my life and also intuition. Stay home as much as possible to maintain social distancing, attributed to pandemic novel COVID-19 and prolong your lifespan. Lead a healthy life. God alone can put a stop to natural unnatural events, maybe bio and cyber war events like pandemics, may lead to apocalypse and extinction of all sentient species on earth for no fault of others. Rest in peace and harmony. 49 minutes.